In 2021, during the Genshin Impact 1.6 update, we explored the Golden Apple Archipelago for the first time and found two halves of a rather spectacular shipwreck. Taking on the events for this quest will lead you to find conches that have retained remnants of voices from past events that had occurred on these shores. And what we'll find are sparse but cryptic hints as to the history of this shipwreck and what might have happened to its crew. Almost a whole year later, in our return to the Golden Apple Archipelago, we meet a mysterious talking boat. And this is the start of a small but emotional tearjerker of a quest that will give us more answers about the unfortunate shipwreck we found in our previous adventures on these shores. Hey there travelers, my name's Ness. Today, let's set sail as we talk about the story behind what happened to this unfortunate shipwreck. From Outer Lands in version 1.6. This quest is the first time we encounter the shipwreck. We find one half of its body with a few pieces of conveniently placed planks nearby that, when put together, forms a sort of captain's log or diary. Reading its contents tells us the first bit of the story about what happened to this boat and its crew. We have no idea where we are, but it looks like we've left Inazuma far behind. Ha! I wish I could see the looks on the faces of those shogunate lackeys. However, there doesn't appear to be a speck of dry land in sight. I'm afraid the boat won't hold up unless we find a place to make anchor soon. We need to think of a way soon. Though the front half was lost, we've somehow managed to stay afloat on the remaining back half for some time now. Now that's what I call a ship. Ha! Unfortunately, most of the ship's load is probably sitting at the bottom of the sea by now. So we learn that the crew consists of people from Inazuma, or that they at least departed from Inazuma. They were clearly running away from Raiden Shogun's army or got into some kind of conflict with them, but we don't know exactly for sure what this conflict is yet. Sometime during their voyage, the boat got into a terrible accident and tore it in half, and now they're hopelessly lost. Echoing Tales in version 1.6. During a separate quest in the same version update, Echoing Tales, we find a series of echoing conches, shells that have sealed voices of people from the past within them. One group of conches has us follow the dialogue of a group of people, and we're almost immediately tipped off to the fact that these are the voices of the people who were the crew on our previously found shipwrecked boat.
Hey, I found it! The other half of the ship, it's here! After everything we went through with the army, all our hard-won treasure is gone, and so's the ship. When Chief Genome finds out, we'll be in for the scolding of a lifetime.
Finding half of a ship? Check. Running away from an army? Check. And we definitely know that these people were from Inazuma, running away from the Raiden Shogun's army for two important reasons. First, the dialogue from the echoing conches further reveal that these people are part of a gang working for Ako Domeki, who happens to be one of Inazuma's most infamous pirates. The ship actually belongs to him, and they were just given the boat by him. Too bad it didn't last very long.
Uh-oh. Oh no, the ship! This is Ako Domeki's pride and joy! I can't believe it. Akka only just gave us the ship, and now we're suddenly stranded here on this island in the middle of nowhere.
Second, we know that this pirate crew were actually smuggling stolen treasure. Among their spoils include something they refer to as a samurai puppet.
After everything we went through with the army, all our hard-won treasure is gone, and so's the ship. This samurai puppet is all that's left. And we're no more capable of getting out of here on our own strength than it is. And now we're suddenly stranded here on this island in the middle of nowhere, and all our treasure's gone. We had this coming. This is our punishment. Oh, we never should have stolen that stupid puppet!
Given the fact that the samurai automaton, Magu Kenki, isn't too far away from where you find these sets of conches, it can be strongly inferred that this is the same samurai puppet that they were talking about. On a side note, I have no idea how they managed to fit something so huge on a ship, let alone steal it from under the Raiden Shogun's nose. They may not be terribly talented at avoiding maritime accidents, but they sure are talented thieves. In any case, these pirates almost certainly came from Inazuma, trying to transport stolen treasure, which includes a sword-wielding puppet that was possibly a weapon or forbidden item that the Raiden Shogun's army didn't want landing into the wrong hands. Not exactly the most sympathetic characters that we have here, but it's very obvious that the crew in the boat are in great distress and tensions are running high. All that said, the last line of dialogue in the conches shows us that they're still determined to find a way to get off the island that they are stranded on, and are refusing to give up.
Shut it! We are going to fix Captain Akko's ship. You hear? No matter what it takes.
In a different set of echoing conches, we see that the pirates have made contact with a group of settlers on the Golden Apple Archipelago. Apparently, the islands are home to a group of settlers who were stranded here many years ago, and generations of these settlers have lived and died here. They are trapped, with no way to escape.
What? You're saying you've been trapped on this island for generations?
Trapped or not, this is the only life we know. We can't leave.
Our pirates are, naturally, not too pleased to hear this.
Good God. So are we stuck here now too? Alright, that's it then. The rest of my life here, eating nuts and berries and waiting around to die.
But in yet another set of conches, we hear more voice lines from two characters who are trying to find a way off the island. One of them is one of our pirates, and the other is a young girl who is an islander from the Golden Apple Archipelago. Their back and forth is quite long, but it's quite amusing. Here's an excerpt from the conversation as they're bickering like a married couple about finding a way to sail out of the area after trying and failing for a while.
Told you. We've been here long enough that we've already tried everything you can think of.
As if you islanders would even know where to start. We are the pirates of Inazuma, feared all across the ocean. Maybe you could learn a thing or two from our expertise.
The same expertise that got you stranded here.
But eventually, their perseverance pays off. Using the pirates' sailing expertise and the islanders' knowledge of the surrounding waters, they find a way to break through the fog surrounding the island, and the entire group of stranded islanders and pirates make their way out of the archipelago into parts unknown.
The fog is clearing, just like you said.
We just need to keep sailing downwind and we'll be home free.
It's a satisfying ending to the story, but many questions remain. Who were these pirates? Why did they steal treasure from the Raiden Shogun? And what kind of crazy incident caused their boat to split in half in the first place? By the way, if you're watching this far, you probably enjoy Genshin Impact content. If you want more lore and analysis videos about the game, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to stay notified. Thanks, and let's get back to the story. As the Courtyard in Spring once appeared in version 2.8. Almost a full year later, when we return to the Golden Apple Archipelago with version 2.8, we get more answers to our questions about how the boat got wrecked in the first place. During the opening sequence of the event, as the Courtyard in Spring once appeared, we meet a talking boat that is having a conversation with a squirrel, which does not appear again for the rest of the event. This understandably traumatizes Paimon.
Okay, bad news first. The bad news is something weird's going on with this island.
Hilariously enough, the talking squirrel has a bone to pick with Barbatos, the Anemo Archon. Apparently, an ancestor of his was taken along for a ride when Venti decided to chuck some mountaintops over to the archipelago, and its family has been stranded here ever since. Given the lack of genetic diversity of squirrels on the island, I wonder what their family tree looks like by now. Is anyone here thinking about the Habsburg house? Back to the talking boat, we learn it has some kind of amnesia and can't actually remember its name, only that it used to hail from Inazuma. And Paimon being Paimon, this is what she says.
In that case, Paimon shall name you Miitoboru. How's that? All the other ships in Inazuma seem to have names ending in Ru too.
Personally, I feel like she named the ship Miitoboru because it sounds like meatball. You know, meatball, Miitoboru. In any case, this is the first time we meet Miitoboru, and we don't see him again until the next quest in the 2.8 update that features him, which is Treasure Voyage in version 2.8. In this quest, the Traveler and Paimon are on a quest to help Miitoboru find his body.
The what now?
Miitoboru, the talking water rider, claims he used to be a pirate ship owned by a very specific character we have heard of before.
Who would have thought that I, the notorious pirate ship commanded by Akko Domeki, would one day end up like this?
And when Paimon doesn't recognize the name, Miitoboru is horrified.
Akko Domeki Zaimon? Defender of Serai! The name of the most feared pirate ever to sail the seas! Oh, who would have thought?
In any case, Miitoboru tells the Traveler and Paimon if they can help him find his body so that he can set sail and return to his original crew, he will help us find treasure. So with the promise of treasure, off we go in search of treasure and Miitoboru's body parts. And I think we're all starting to get the picture. The first 2 times Miitoboru claims his senses are leading us to find treasure, we don't find any treasure, just 2 halves of a shipwreck. The same 2 halves of the shipwreck we discussed in the first section of this video. Detective Paimon has this observation to make.
Was there no treasure this whole time? Oh. But wait. Both times Miitoboru thought he was sensing treasure, it turned out to be shipwrecks. Does that mean this is his body?
Taking a photo of the shipwreck, we let Miitoboru see the picture, and okay, hold on. I just have a small tangent I want to go on. How is Miitoboru seeing this? With his eyes! Where? Showing Miitoboru the pictures and insinuating that it could be his body that he's been looking for. He understandably doesn't believe this shipwreck could have anything to do with him.
Ha! Impossible! Where did this sorry ship come from? It's a total wreck! You may not know this, but I'm considered as the mightiest pirate ship of the Akko Domeki fleet. There's no way I could end up like this!
But the next time Miitoboru leads us to some supposed treasure, we find some wooden planks, and touching it causes everyone to experience a shared memory. A memory of being hauled into the ocean for the very first time. Miitoboru tells us those are his memories. The first memory of being set into the sea, and guesses that those planks might have been the first part of his body to touch seawater. He finally starts to accept that his body could have been wrecked in some kind of extreme accident, denial slowly evolving into shocked disbelief.
Maybe I crashed into the reef here and was shattered to pieces long ago. And maybe the sensation I had when I woke up wasn't some kind of treasure hunting intuition after all, but me responding to my own body.
The next object you find is a wooden toy sword on the island where the Magukenki samurai puppet used to be. As you can guess, this is yet another part of Miitoboru's body that got turned into a toy sometime in the past. Touching the toy sword makes everyone experience the thunderstorm the pirates got caught up in all those years ago. In the midst of an epic showdown between Akko Domeki, the infamous pirate, and the shogunate soldiers, neither noticed the ensuing storm. It was the remnants of the Thunderbird's wrath that caused a tremendous electrostorm to sweep through the area, destroying Serai Island in the process. This was the same storm that shipwrecked Miitoboru, Akko Domeki, and his crew on the Golden Apple Archipelago. Now, all he wants to know is if the crew is safe. Harboring the hope of the crew's safety, the 3 of you continue your search to eventually find the final piece of Miitoboru's body. The last object you find is a somewhat intact wooden instrument. It's somewhat damaged, but can still play some tunes. Striking the instrument brings on a rush of emotions. It's another memory from Miitoboru. there's a feeling that the end is nigh. The ship's body is too badly damaged and can sail no longer. The crew has gathered together, tearfully singing a song as a goodbye. This memory, along with the voice line from the conch you found back in version 1.6, gives us strong evidence that the pirates did eventually manage to make it off the island.
Aye, but since I was so badly damaged, it was the most I could do to bring them here. There was no way I could go back with them. But even though I said goodbye to them, I still can't help thinking, what if I could have gone back with them? Why did I have to be left here, abandoned like this? I could do nothing but watch them leave and embark on a new journey without me.
The final treasure in version 2.8. A few weeks after the release of the Treasure Voyage quest, we get the conclusion to Miitoboru's story with the quest titled The Final Treasure. Miitoboru is slowly losing his ability to speak and stay conscious. Sensing this urgency, we set off to find the last treasure. Or rather, the last piece of Miitoboru that will give us all closure to this fateful journey. The sea slowly becomes shrouded in fog, and Inazuma-styled lanterns start dotting the sea to lead the way. You navigate through shipwrecks, floating hilichurl islands, and even a thunderstorm before reaching your destination. It's the location of the first half of the shipwreck you found. Along the way, Miitoboru regales you with stories of the crew back in Inazuma. There's also two things he wants to tell you. The first of which is that he finally remembers his original name. It's Koseki Maru, the maiden of the Asase Shrine named it as such, as most of the crew came from Koseki village in Serai Island, and she hoped that the ship would bring the crew home safely. The second thing Miitoboru wanted to say? He'll tell you after you've found the treasure. The treasure is an aptly named model ship of Koseki Maru's original body, the Stormbracer. Delighted with your treasure, the two of you head down to where Koseki Maru is waiting. Only he doesn't respond any longer. He's no longer conscious. Inspecting the model of the Stormbracer, its description tells us the second and final thing Koseki Maru wanted to tell you. Secondly, the people of the sea never say goodbye out loud. As of the time I expect this video to be done with editing and to be released, this quest is no longer playable, along with all the other Golden Apple Archipelago quests from 2.8. I'm so glad I got the chance to play it. Sure, it's a simple story and doesn't have much of an impact on the rest of the traveler's journey, but it was an honest-to-God tearjerker for me. The tragic mystery that we unravel about Koseki Maru and its pirate crew tells us a story of remaining hopeful in a time of hopelessness. The joys of adventure in contrast with the terror of the unknown, of loss, grief, denial, and acceptance. That all good things must come to an end and how it can be difficult to say goodbye. Maybe this is looking too much into a side quest of a gacha game, but I really did enjoy the journey hoyoverse took us on with the story of Koseki Maru and its crew. It's relatable because all the themes in this story reflect situations we will encounter in our lives. As we set out on new chapters of our lives, things seem exciting and glorious when we're entrusted with new responsibilities, like the pirates who were entrusted with Akodomeki's prized ship. There is a tangible sense of gravitas, especially when things go wrong. And when our journeys, after its many ups and downs, comes to an end, it can be hard to deny the truth of the matter, but we must all accept that we'll have to say goodbye to the good times that we've had. What makes Koseki Maru's ending so tragic is that he never quite mustered the will or the strength to say a proper goodbye to his crew or the traveler and Paimon. And there's a lesson about acceptance in that. The story aside, we still have tons of unanswered questions about the whole situation. What did Akodomeki and his crew want with the Magu Kenki? What other treasure were they trying to steal? What beef did they have with the Raiden Shogun? We may or may not get answers to these questions in the future. But as is, I'm happy we got more out of the surprisingly fascinating and emotional story. This was a big one, so thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more deep dives into Genshin Impact lore from me. Stay spicy and Godspeed, travelers.